Right, as you can see, I've bought another MG. So this one here basically fell on my lap. Just scrolling through Facebook Marketplace as you do, looking for cheap MGs as I do because I'm an idiot. And this one popped up. It was originally listed for £1,200, I think it was. So I messaged the guy and just showed my interest basically. And he said he had another guy coming to have a look at it. And then he dropped the price down to £1,000. I thought, oh, this is getting spicy. This is getting more my sort of like range. And then I messaged him in again, and he said he had another person come to have a look at it, and he'll let me know. Anyway, a couple of days later went past, and I just thought, it is what it is. And he messaged me to say that the guy offered him £600 because apparently it needed a timing chain. And if I wanted it, I could have it for £600 because I was the first person that was interested in the car. So with that, I jumped in my car and I went to see the guy. He's quite local actually, only a few miles away. So yeah, jumped in the car and as you see, we've bought it. Now for £600, this isn't without its faults. Obviously these retail normally £2,000 upwards, but I think the original listing said that needed a clutch because that was noisy or the pedal was stiff, which these are quite common for. And then obviously with the timing chain issue, that kept coming up with engine management lights, and the code read said it was something to do with timing. So normally, again, quite common on these, timing chain stretch and they go rattly, and there is a modified kit for that. Now I've probably done about 1,500 miles in this car since I've had it, and there's no indication of timing chain stretch, there's no engine warning lights, there's no misfires, it just drives lovely. And the only thing that I found with the clutch is it's noisy. Almost sounds like release bearing, but when you put your foot on the clutch and off the clutch, it don't really change that much. So I think it's going to be the center springs inside the center plate, which just rattle loose basically. And again, these normally suffer from stiff clutch pedals because the arm sees in the gearbox, but this one is okay, to be honest with you. So now I'm not really 100% sure what I'm going to be doing with this car yet. Some of me say repair it, clean it up, sell it on, make a profit. Now another part of me say let's turn it into a race car, because why wouldn't you? Now these are god awfully slow, and with the MG support and with all the MG-Rs and ZRs and ZSs and Fs, they're starting to, well, definitely the ZR160s are starting to dry up a little bit now, and getting a good decent shell for ZS is near on impossible now. These are becoming more and more of a, these are becoming more appealing, shall we say. So yeah, we could convert it to the MG Cup rules and regulations, which is again just safety stuff, tyres, brakes, you can do airbox, exhaust, and stuff like that. Now this would be the slowest car on the grid, no question of a doubt. This would be last every race. But if you can get 3 or 4 of them on the grid, then you're then having a race against the 3 or 4 others that are on the grid. These have only got 100 horsepower. Now there are people out there that have done 160 conversions, 190 conversions, turbo conversions, supercharged conversions. But the whole idea of this really is to have a car that you can buy cheap, prep cheap, and go racing, go have some fun. So again, once you've got 3 or 4 on the grid, then you know you're in your own class basically. You are just racing against them 3 or 4 others, and sod the rest of them. They can lap you whenever they like, really, can't you? Just keep out of the way. But I think the first thing I want to do is replace that clutch. We'll see what our options will give us after that. Now obviously preparing one of these for a track is going to be a little bit expensive. You've got tyres, you've got brake pads, which no one seems to do a set of racing brake pads for these. Seat, now I've got a seat, so it's not really too much of an issue. Roll cage, again, they're upwards of £1,000. And then a set of coilovers. You can have coilovers in the MG Cup class, but again, they're 600 to 700 quid. So it's going to be expensive, but cheap in the same way. You could go and buy a Z, for what we prepare this for, you can go and buy a ZR160 Class A car for the same money. I know that because I've just sold my Hot Wheels one. So doing the maths, you could prepare this one and be last every race, or you could go and buy a ZR160 and be competitive in a Class A car. But anyway, I think what we'll do is we will crack on, replace the clutch, and then see what takes my fancy. I might even do a track day in it, to be honest with you. But again, I would like to put the tools on the timing chain, just measure stretch anyway. We'll do that in another video. And just see if it's got an uprated timing kit in it or not. You'll see that by the teeth and on the cam gear, whether it's round or if they're pointy or not. Right, so with that said, I think we will just crack on and get this clutch replaced. Not quite how I envisioned it, but it's out. Right, we've got the gearbox off, clutch and flywheel are off. Now, what I thought was the problem, which I thought one of these springs had broken, is rattling around in the gearbox somewhere, wasn't actually the case. They're all intact. This do look like the original Syak Satch clutch. So as you can see, it's very worn as well. Grooves are almost gone, almost down to the rivet on that one. Flywheel all looks okay, but you can see what I saw was something has been bouncing around in here, and it wasn't quite obvious until I removed the flywheel. But before we get to that, just a quick listen to the release bearing. It's a little bit noisy, but not the noise that I was listening to, if that makes any sense. Basically, sometimes that'll come, sometimes that will go, and it didn't matter whether I put my foot on the clutch or not on the clutch, it wouldn't go, and it literally sounded like something bouncing around in the bell housing. So after removing the flywheel, we saw some damage here, some damage here, so something's bouncing around in here and then getting stuck and causing a grinding noise in the back of the flywheel. Yeah, and when I removed the flywheel and prized it away, lo and behold, a bolt fell out, and you see it's quite clearly worn down. It's been in there a while. But yeah, I couldn't see anywhere in the clutch area where that would have come from. So it's not a clutch bolt, it's not a flywheel bolt, it's not a bell housing bolt. All the bolts were in place. There's not even one of these seal bolts. Yeah, so it's got all the grommets in place, the one on top of the gearbox as well, that's all in place still. The only way that could have got in there would be literally through this gap here on the inner drive shaft. And you see where it's trying to bounce out of there. As I say, there's a gap on the top of the flywheel, but I have got the grommet for that, and I did take the grommet off, but there was no other place for that to come into. And it's got a nice free release arm. It looks like it's had all the bushes done, and also it's had the modification done to the bottom, where you drill through the bottom and put the modified bush in. But yeah, on my courtesy car that hasn't got any of that, and the clutch pedal is starting to get a little bit stiff, to be fair, so we will need to do this again on the old courtesy car. But yeah, flywheel's good to go back in. I'm not going to bother changing that seal because it's not leaking, it's only the outer cases that are damaged. We've got a new clutch, new release bearing. We'll put some more gearbox oil, we'll renew the gearbox oil, we'll give that a clean air, and just make sure nothing goes in there. But yeah, so it's a mystery to know where that bolt has come from, because as I say, when taking the gearbox out, there's no missing bolts, and also looking around the engine, I can't see anything missing. So whether, I mean, that just looks like a generic
It's an 8.8 hardness bolt. So I guess it's just something that's just flew off the road. Right, before attempting to fit any clutch, you got to make sure, like you would on brakes, discs and brake pads, is just check it against the old ones, make sure they are correct. And although these look slightly different, they do seem to be the same size, same height and everything. So yeah, same bolt pattern. For some reason though, that looks much bigger than that one, but I mean, I guess it is maybe a little bit. I mean, that's part of there. Put that on there. I mean, the disc seems to be the same size, but the plate itself seems to be slightly smaller. But I have used these in the past. This is a Borg and Beck one. Again, I have used these in the past and they do fit and they do work. New release bearing as well. So what we're going to do is get all this set up, get the release bearing changed up as well. We'll probably take the fork out, give it a clean, give it a grease. Although it's nice and free, you know, it's just preventative really. So yeah, let's get all these coupled together, get all cleaned up, all coupled together, and then we can bolt it to the flywheel. Yeah. That didn't go to plan, did it? Right, so I managed to get it out. Luckily it wasn't so tight, so I managed to turn the selector arm, not the selector arm, the clutch arm in this direction and start drilling it out, and it literally just wound the bolt out, so it wasn't tight at all. It's weird how that just snapped off. Wasn't putting no torque in it whatsoever. My Milwaukee ratchet is pretty much buggered anyway. I even went and bought a new snap-on one today. But yeah, that ratchet's got no torque whatsoever, and it just snapped that bolt. But there is 2 bolt holes here. Can you see where I'm going with this? So that's one bolt, that's the one that just snapped, and this is the one that's rattling around in the gearbox housing. Looks relatively the same. Right, so we've now got our clutch fork in with some new bolts. I've Loctited them in as well. All nice and free. Greased the shaft up and everything. New release bearing. New clutch in. All torqued down. Flywheel all torqued down. So yeah, just need to stick that back in there, and we should be golden. But I'm not going to bore you with that. It's literally the same as removal process as the Haynes manual always say. So just watch this video in reverse and that'll give you an idea. Right, we'll catch you probably in a couple of hours when it's all done. Right, all back together again now. So I'll flip you around, and still up on the stands at the minute. Under tray is still off. Just going to make sure it gets into gears and all that sort of jazz. But there we go, all around, all done. Didn't have to bleed the clutch because obviously we took the slave cylinder off. That's all on. So yeah, again, it's just the under tray left to do and to jack it down. But we just want to make sure it goes in gear first, because it's a bit of an effort to jack it up and down again and in this heat. Alright, just make sure the old clutch pedal's good. Feels good. There we go. No nasty noises when putting the clutch up and down. See if it goes into gear. Well, it feels good anyway. Just make sure the wheels are spinning. I've got no speedo, but I think, I mean, wheels are all spinning around, so there we go. That one's going 10 to the dozen. I've probably got an ABS light on now. No speedo still. I think that goes off ABS anyway, so it might want to see all four wheels going. But again, no nasty knocks, bangs, rattles, scraping noises. Right, call that a success. Knock out of gear. Right, so what I'm going to do, whack the under tray back on, get it jacked down, and we'll go for a little bit of a road test. Right, so far so good then. Clutch feels lovely. Now obviously we need to bed it in, so we don't want to labour the car too much. So yeah, just nice gentle driving at the minute. But as I say, £600 and I've done 1,447 miles, and obviously we knew it had some issues with the clutch, so we did them. I think the clutch cost me less than £100 from Parts and Motion. As I say, it's a Borg & Beck one, and yeah, what more can I say? It's 23 degrees outside, the aircon, it's ice cold. The only thing I did have to do is I did have to give it a clean, because it was an absolute mess inside here and on the outside. But for £600 I'm not going to worry too much about it. I've given an initial outside wash, well, side of the road car wash it had, and then the inside just had a good vacuum, a good tornadoing with that little special tool thing that I use. The seats could do with a, although I did use a tornado on the seats, they could do with a bit of a wet vac, to be honest with you. But, and then obviously with the previous video that you've probably seen, I've done the pollen filter and the Forte bacterial removal process. But yeah, it's a lovely little car to drive. No knocks, bangs or rattles. I can't see any issue with that timing chain whatsoever. But I will check it just to see if it is starting to stretch and if it has got the modified kit on it or not. Obviously that'll need a service as well, but you know what, the frosh about in as a daily, this is an alright car. So what do you think we should do with this car then? Should we just tar it up a little bit and move it on, or do we turn it into a race car? Try and get some other interest in racing these MG3s. Now I know there's been some people that have tried it and it hasn't really taken off too well, but I think if there's 3 or 4 of us with the same car, I think it's going to be a great little race car. Same with the Suzuki Swift Challenge that they're now starting to do, I think in the 750 Motor Club. It's going to be that sort of thing, I reckon. I think the Swift has got a bit more power than what these have got. But yeah, as I say, lovely little driving car. I'm just going to use it as a daily. I'm going to take the streetwise off the road because there's a couple of little things I want to do the streetwise. So I'll take that off the road. I have taxed this for 6 months. That was only like 105 quid I think it was for 6 months. So I think 195 quid for the year, but I taxed it for 6 months, 105 quid. So I'm going to use it for the rest of the summer as my daily. The streetwise will come off the road, we'll do some bits to that, and that will go back on the road ready for winter. So I think I'll leave this video here. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you've got some information out of it more than anything. And yeah, drop down in the comments what you want to see happen to this car, and we'll see you in the next one.